Here's a fact that sounds like a misprint. There have been times when a major airline's frequent flyer program, the little points you collect, was valued at more money than the entire rest of the airline. The planes, the routes, the brand, the staff, worth less than the point scheme bolted onto the side. Which raises a deeply strange question. Is an airline a company that flies people, or a company that prints currency and happens to own some planes? The honest answer, increasingly, is the second one. And once you see it, you'll never look at your boarding pass the same way. Let's start with the brutal economics of actually flying people. The core airline business is one of the worst businesses ever invented. It's brutally competitive. Customers pick almost entirely on price. Fuel costs swing wildly. The planes cost fortunes, and a single bad event, a storm, a virus, an oil spike, can wipe out a year of profit overnight. For decades, the airline industry collectively made almost no money. If flying passengers were the whole business, it would be a charity with wings. So the smart airlines quietly built a second business on top of the first. One that's everything flying isn't. High margin, predictable, and almost impossible to compete with. That second business is the loyalty program, and here's the engine that makes it print money. The airline creates miles out of thin air. They're just numbers in a database, costing nothing to produce. Then they sell those miles in bulk for real cash to banks. Why do banks buy them? Because banks run the credit cards that give you miles for every dollar you spend. Every time you swipe that airline credit card for groceries, gas, or rent, the bank is buying miles from the airline to reward you. The airline gets a steady river of real money from the bank. Money that has nothing to do with whether you ever set foot on a plane. They're wholesaling a currency they invented, and the banks are their biggest customer. Now sit with how good that is. The miles cost the airline almost nothing to create. They sell them for real cash up front. And the thing they eventually owe you, a free flight someday, is cheap and controllable for them to deliver. They decide how many seats are available for points. They decide how many miles a flight costs, and they can quietly raise that number whenever they like, which is really just printing more currency and devaluing what you're holding. A chunk of miles are never redeemed at all because people forget, or the program changes, or the miles expire. Money in now, a cheap and flexible promise paid out later, and some of the debt that simply evaporates. That is a spectacular business, and it's hiding inside something most people think of as a transport company. This is why the real customer of a modern airline's most profitable arm often isn't the traveler. It's the bank, and behind the bank, the card-swiping economy itself. The airline is, in effect, a wholesaler of a private currency, and the loyalty program is the mint. Flying you is almost a marketing cost, the thing that gives the miles their magic that makes you want to earn them, that keeps the whole loop spinning. The flights make the points feel valuable. The points make the bank pay. The bank's payments are where the profit actually lives. The plane ticket is the loss leader for the currency business. And here's the twist that proves it. During the recent period when almost no one was flying, several major airlines survived by borrowing enormous sums. And what did they put up as collateral? Not their planes, their frequent flyer programs. Lenders looked at a grounded fleet sitting uselessly on tarmac and at a points program, and decided the points were the rock-solid asset worth lending billions against. The planes were the risky part. The made-up currency was the safe, bankable treasure. There is no clearer admission of what these companies have actually become. When the chips were down, the airlines bet the house on the points, not the planes. So what does this mean for you, the person dutifully collecting miles? A few things, and they're a little uncomfortable. First, your miles are not money in a vault. They're a promise the airline can quietly devalue anytime it likes by raising the price of award flights. So hoarding a giant balance for years is risky. The smart move is to earn and burn, redeem before the goalposts move. Second, the reason these cards shower you with sign-up bonuses is that you're incredibly profitable to the airline-bank partnership. The rewards are a slice of a much bigger pie they're making off your spending. You're not gaming the system as cleverly as you think. You're the product the system was built around. That doesn't mean don't play. It means play with your eyes open. Now, is this unbreakable? Not quite. The whole machine depends on those rich card partnerships and on you trusting that miles hold their value. Push the devaluations too far, and people stop believing the points are worth chasing. and the magic that makes the bank pay starts to fade. Regulators occasionally either swipe fees that fund the whole thing, and newer travelers are increasingly just optimizing for cashback and cheap fares instead of loyalty. The mint only works as long as everyone agrees the currency is worth holding. The airlines know this, which is why they walk a constant tightrope, devalue enough to profit, but never so much that you stop believing. So here's the lesson, and it's one of the most useful in all of business. To understand how a company really makes money, ignore what it appears to sell and follow the actual cash. An airline looks like it sells seats. Follow the money, and you find a currency printing operation wearing a transport company as a costume. The most valuable part of many businesses isn't the obvious product in the window. It's some strange, high-margin engine bolted onto the side that most customers never even notice they're feeding. Find that hidden engine, and you've found where the money actually lives. If you want a next breakdown, subscribe. One new company every few days. Next time, another business that isn't remotely what it looks like.